Wysteria, energy, twister. Hello everyone, welcome back to the last chapter of Cinderella is Evil. We're going into town, Mother. We won't be long, I said, quickly as Cinderella and I crossed the foyer. We moved so swiftly she didn't get the chance to stop us. If she knew what we were up to, she would only ruin everything. Angus took us directly to the palace with haste. Adrenaline coursed through our blood. We had to get to the prince before he found another. He didn't have the slipper anymore. Mother had seen to that. But any number of ladies could have come forward and pretended they were Cinderella. The poor fool would probably fall for their ruse. The coach pulled up outside the castle, and Cinderella bustled out, and Angus opened the door. She turned to face me. "Are you coming?" I shook my head. If I went to, I would probably end up kicking the prince where it would really hurt. No, you go. Good luck. She smiled before she turned and hurried away, holding her skirts so she didn't trip over them. I stayed in the coach. I had a good view of the castle foyer, and I didn't have to stand around awkwardly as a third wheel. Through the doorway, I could see Prince Charming as he spoke with my stepsister. Her hands waved around as she explained herself. Finally, she pulled a slipper from her purse. The prince took it from her, examining it in detail. It matched the one he had. At least before it fell to pieces, anyway. All of a sudden, Prince Charming wrapped Cinderella in his arms. They kissed more passionately than was polite in public. I couldn't help but allow my lips to turn into a smile. They did make a good couple. Even I had to admit it. "Love is so wonderful, isn't it?" Angus commented, watching from the side of the coach. I'd forgotten he was there. I was too caught up in the show. "It certainly is," I replied. "Do you think they'll marry?" "I'm sure of it." "Lady Anna, there is something I need to tell you," he started. I turned to face him, curious at his serious tone of voice. I don't think I could take any more drama for one day. "Then please do, Angus. You can tell me anything. It's just that, well, you see." "See what?" He took a deep breath and hesitated. "I love you. I have ever since I saw you first. You are truly the most beautiful, wonderful, extraordinary woman I've ever met." I was struck dumbfounded. Had he really spoken those words to me? About me? Nobody had ever attributed those words to me before. Only him. My heart soared, but not because of his compliments. My heart soared because I had only ever dreamed of him returning my feelings before. I had fallen in love with him when he arrived at our house for employment. I had just never dreamed he could love me back. "I'm sorry if I overstepped my boundaries, Lady Anna. Please forgive me." He turned to leave, but I grabbed his arm so he couldn't. I leapt out of the coach, falling right into his arms. The kiss we shared was 1,000 times more passionate than between Cinderella and Prince Charming. It was like fireworks that exploded over our heads, illuminating the kingdom for all to see. When Angus looked at me, I felt more beautiful in that moment than in my entire life combined. It was magical, wondrous, spectacular. I never wanted to forget that feeling. It was the best gift he could have ever given me. "Run away with me," Angus said. I stood in his arms, never wanting to leave them. I knew, just as much as he did, that if we returned home, Mother would never allow us to be together. She would send him away and I would never see him again. Instead, I would be forced to marry someone else for convenience. I couldn't live like that. Not when I felt alive for the first time in a very long time. "It would be my pleasure to run away with you," I replied, truly meaning this. Mother would be fine. She would have a true princess in her family with Cinderella. Zelly would marry soon. It would only be a matter of time. They didn't need me any longer. I was free. Angus jumped upon the driver's platform of the coach, picking up the reins to begin our journey. "You'd better get back inside if I wish that you to steal me away." I looked at him, my heart leaping with joy. Then I looked inside the coach. I knew where my place was, and it wasn't inside. Instead, I climbed up on the platform with him. He laughed at my effort and the clumsy way I climbed in my dress. It wasn't made for such daring activities. "Surely you would be more comfortable inside the coach." I laughed, feeling giddy with the excitement. "I belong right here, next to you. I will never leave your side." Angus put his arm around my waist, pulling me closer. He held me there while he used his other hand to guide the horses along the cobblestone street. I put my head on his shoulder, feeling more happy and loved than I had ever felt before. We rode out of town that day and never returned. I sent my family a letter explaining everything and why I had made the decision I did. I didn't leave a reply address, so I don't know if they ever fully understood my actions. Angus and I found a little cottage to live in after we married, in a tiny chapel at midnight. We had 4 children, each one as happy and chubby as the next. I never had to spend another second worrying about finding a husband that would love me. I knew I had found him already. I heard Cinderella went on to marry Prince Charming, just like I'd predicted. I was happy for her. I only hoped that she found the kind of happiness her father had shared with my mother. Everyone in the world deserves that kind of love. Zelly found a wonderful lord. Soon after, they met at the royal wedding and instantly fell in love. She was the last sister to marry, but I'm sure our marriage celebrations would have rivalled our stepsisters. I planned to reunite with her soon, so our children could play together and get to know their cousins. Mother never remarried, her heart too broken by Cinderella's father. Her grandchildren keep her very busy, and I've heard she spends much time at the palace annoying all the ladies in waiting. She's probably trying to find them all a husband. So that was my story. I know Cinderella would tell it differently. She always was a drama queen that liked to be the hero in her own tales, but everything I have spoken was the truth. Believe what you will, and whatever you do, I hope you have a happily ever after. I know I did. The end. And that's the end of Cinderella is Evil. So the author is Jamie Campbell. She grew up in New South Wales town of Port Macquarie as the youngest of 6 children. She now resides on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. Writing since she could hold a pencil, Jamie's passion for storytelling and wild imagination were often cause for some concern with her school teachers. Now that imagination is used for good instead of for mischief. And obviously I will leave the author's details in the description in case you want to go look at her other books or go follow her and see what she's up to. Thank you for listening and many blessings. Wysteria. Energy. Twister.